Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. In this episode we are back in our TBM-930 and we're going to be flying from LAX over to Viva Las Vegas. It's a routine trip I make pretty frequently, but that's the joy of corporate flight, right? So without further delay, let's go ahead and get in the aircraft, get her fueled and loaded, and we will get her started up and out of here. If you are interested in learning how to fly the TBM-930 from Microsoft Flight Simulator, consider joining my Patreon site, level tier 2 or above, which gives you access to all of my guides, which include the A320, the G1000, and now the recently released Cessna Citation Longitude. These guides include everything from cockpit tours to full instructions on how to use all the systems, creating your flight plans, as well as the different types of approaches and takeoffs that are available to the different aircrafts. They are extremely detailed, full with pictures and identifying markers to make your flight sim experience with this aircraft as easy as possible. Again, link down to my Patreon site found in the description below. Jumping into the seat here, the first thing we need to do is set our fuel load and payload. So let's get into sim brief here. Looking at our total block fuel today, I think I passed it. I did. We need 1,090 pounds is what we're looking for fuel today. So let's just increase that just a little bit. Almost there. Looks like we're looking at 56%. And that's fuel trip plus 45 minutes in reserve. Payload today, we are looking at 1380. Wow, it's quite a bit of weight on board today. All right, 1386, close enough for me. Let's tell people they can't sit where they like today and they need to move around a little bit. All right, so with that said and done, let's go ahead and get the aircraft buttoned up and we'll get out of here. So let's close the doors here. Let's move to the back. Come up. Pull the top hatch down. Lock the door. Lock the door up front. And let's get her started. So first thing is crash bar up. Battery on. Generator on. Make sure ignition is in the on position. Auxiliary boost pumps to on. Fuel selection set to manual. Autopilot system is off. Oxygen system is off. We can turn our nav lights on. Come down, make sure the aircraft's secured for engine start. We can start our Garmin up here. So we want the AC unit to be turned off. All anti-ice switches are off. Pitot heat is also off. Initial separator off. Parking brake is set. Landing gear is down. Do a lights test on landing gear. And look for flashing green to make sure the gear is down and locked. Pressurization switch is off. Manual override is disabled. Throttle is in cutoff. Flaps are retracted. Alternate static air source is pushed in and closed. And all circuit breakers are in. We are ready for engine start. So, coming back up to the top here, we're going to take our starter and give it a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi count. So, 1, 2. Good to go. Come down to our throttle quadrant, if I can remember which one I have it set to. Now, I know it's a little tough to see, but we're looking for 13% on the NG here. Basically, when the number turns green. Oh, nope, not when it turns green. Excuse me. Ignore that. So we're going to move the throttle forward into the low idle position. Then we'll be looking for 53%, at which point it will turn green. Clear the master caution there. And there's 53%. We're going to go into high idle, then come on over the gate into flight idle. All right, moving back up to the top for just a minute here, we want the ignition into the auto position, auxiliary boost pumps to auto, fuel selection to automatic, autopilot trim system is on, emergency locator switch in the center position for armed, and we want our oxygen turned on. Moving back down to the forward panel here, air conditioning can now come on as desired. Ignition separator we will leave off until we're ready for taxi. Pressurization switch, you have max diff or auto. Max diff is going to pressurize the aircraft the fastest, but can leave your passengers a little bit on the uncomfortable side, so we prefer auto when available. And that's going to be determined by how quickly we climb, or descend for that matter. All right, and then we'll go ahead and use B on our keyboard to set our pressurization for today. We're looking at 2, 9, or 9, or 4. Make sure it's in both boxes, all set there. And we are now ready to enter in our flight plan to the FMS and get this beautiful bird out of here. All right, so now let's move to the touchscreen controller here. We're going to go to the MFD menu, go to Flight Plan, set our origin, Kilo Lima Alpha X-Ray. Set our destination at Kilo Lima Alpha Sierra for Las Vegas, or McCarran International. And now let's take a look at our flight plan and see what we got going on today. So, let's find our route. We're using the Orca 5 SID from runway 25 right, going direct to Meissen, and then looks like going direct onto the Star for the... I'm always worried I'm going to say these wrong. I wish there was something... I need like a cheat sheet where you can just find these and know what they're actually supposed to be. Because I was saying Eastwood wrong for the longest time. We're going for that one. I don't know how to say that one. I'm not going to try because I think I'm going to screw it up. So let's go ahead and get that entered in. That's pretty simple. This is actually a very, very simple flight today. So we're going to go to our departures here. We're going to select our departure SID. And what did I see? Oh, there it is. The Orca 5. And direct onto the Meissen transition using runway 25 right. Now, before we go any further, let's go ahead and confirm that with ATIS. Unfortunately, I don't have any audio with ATIS. I wish I did. And it does look like 25 right is a departing runway, so we're good there. I can't figure out what's going on with the audio. I can't ever make it work. I've heard that it's been, quote-unquote, improved, but I would love to know. And this is after a fresh install. I can't get my ATC audio to work. Nothing that I've done works. So, now let's take a look at our arrival, because we're going direct from there onto the arrival. All right, we'll give this a few seconds. So, rounders? Somebody help me out in the comments, please. Okay, let's take a look what our transition is going to be. Now, in order to do that, we're going to use our charts. So let's go to the MFD menu here. We're going to go to charts up here, and we're going to take a look at the arrivals. Oh, I hate it when it does this. So sometimes we can do this a couple of different ways. You know what, hang on, let me hit back. I can do sometimes by simply just entering a new airport. It works. Are you really going to make me re-register this again? All right, I don't know why it's doing this. Let's go back to utilities, setup, database status, boom. And it's asking me to sign in on a web browser. I'm hitting sign in. I'm hitting OK. I'm telling it, yes, you're allowed. Now I'm going to come over here, hit link account, attempt to link account. Come on. All right, so theoretically, now it should be working. Let's go back to home. Let's go to charts. It's working. That is so weird. Every time I'm having to do that now. I didn't used to have to do this. Chart options. I find the dark mode is so much easier to see. So let's just use that. And let's find that wonderful star that I clearly cannot pronounce. And let's take a look at it. So let's see what our entry point is. We are coming in. Oh, there's Meissen right there. So this is the way we're going to be coming in. And what's our final point onto the... transition, probably NV at 11,000. Well, let's take a look and see what our approach is. So we are going for runway, what are we looking for today? 08 right. So let's take a look at that as well. Oh, goodness. What happened there? So let's look at the approach. And we're looking for... We can do RNAV, that's fine. RNAV 8 right. And it looks like Jaeger is our first waypoint. So now going back to our arrival. Sort of have to do these in reverse. Jaeger or bourbon. So let's go ahead now to come here. Oh, never mind. It's using the Meissen transit. I thought we already established that. Did I not? Okay, maybe I'm losing my brain. It's possible. All right, so we have our transitions onto the star and then onto the approach. Runway 08 right is selected. Oh, I wasn't on the approach. I was on the star. I'm a dork. Why was I thinking I was on the approach? Anyway, that's what I get. Let's do RNav 8 right. There you go. And Jaeger is our transition. I'm a dork. All right, hit load. Go back to home. Now let's go ahead and simulate getting clearance. So in order to do that, what I'm referring to is we're going to set a transponder code. Let's set it for 3527 today. Let's throw that bad boy to on. Let's hit enter. All right. Transponder is set. Altimeter is set. Flight plan is set. Cockpit is set. Now let's go ahead and set up our primary flight display. Yeah, good. Flight directors need to come on. Let's set our initial altitude today for 11,000 feet. Will be our initial target. Now we are going to be climbing via the SID today. So you know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's back up here a second. Let's go to charts. Let's go to departure. And let's find the... Where are you? Oh, I'm on... That would be Y. KLAX. Enter. There we go. Well, that's why we weren't seeing what we were expecting. There's the Orca 5. And let's see what our target altitudes are today. So we have... kegs at the initial here. I feel like we're flying the wrong direction. It's really odd. Anyway, sort of wondering why we have this SID when we're departing from 25 right. 25 right's going to take us out this way, so we're going to have to come back around. But it looks like our initial altitude is, let's go ahead and go for 13,000 feet. Take her a bit higher for our first target. Alright, 13,000 feet in the box, and then we're also going to set our flight level control and spin that up to 124 knots as our target speed today, as that is our best rate. Or best speed, excuse me. Alright. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing here. So we have our altimeter set, we have our altitude set, initial target set, target speed set. Now let's go ahead and change our CDI over to the FMS for our flight plan management. And everything else looks like we are ready to rock and roll. So let's move this down to the taxi track so we can see what we're doing here. Zoom in a bit. Now taxi is going to be very, very simple here. We're departing from 25 right here, so we're just going to come right out here on Alpha 1, take Foxtrot, and hold short 25 right. So very simple taxi today. All right. In that case, let's go ahead and turn on the inertial separator. We'll turn the pitot and stall heaters on. Taxi light can come on. Boom. One last quick sweep of the cockpit. See if there's anything that we have missed today. Doesn't look like it. Everything's looking fine and dandy. Let's resume our flight plan entry over here. Now, the last thing you can do, it's totally optional. Obviously, this is preference. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, well. We'll go back to it in a second. Let's go ahead and throw that back up there. Now let's go to the home page and let's set our speed bugs. So for rotation speed, we are looking for 90 knots. Best angle is going to be 100 knots, and there's our best speed for 124 knots, and then you have the approach speed of 85 knots if you want to throw your speed bugs on. All right. So we are golden, guys. Caution light indicating inertial separator is on and active. Not a problem there. It's just something to remember until we get through our climb altitude. Now, anytime we have any icing or heavy cloud weather, we obviously need the inertial separator on. It's important to remember what the inertial separator does. The purpose of it is it creates a trap gate, essentially to keep foreign object debris or FOD from getting sucked in through the intake and then going to the engine and damaging the engine. So we leave that on anytime we have icing conditions or anytime we are low enough where we, risk taking any damage from rocks or something like that that may be on the runway or taxiways. All right, so other than that, we are all set and ready for taxi, so let's go ahead and get this bird out of here. All right, so now I'm going to rezoom this back in now that I messed it up, just to verify which way. So we basically need to turn the aircraft around is what needs to happen here. Perfect. All right, yeah, that is a very easy taxi route. I like that. All right, so let's add some power. And slowly bring her around. Don't exactly have taxiways over here that I can see. Oh, there's a taxi line right there. I know this is more of a cargo port, but couldn't find the executive terminals for LAX. I don't know if I just picked the wrong spot. I mean, clearly I did. Like I said, this is very clearly cargo, but it's all right. It works out for us today. Slow down, pretty lady. Slow down. I know you're anxious to get going, so am I, but slow down. Ah, look at that big mama. Hey, you can actually see the gear this time. I love those aircraft that always have the missing gear. We got definitely got some traffic coming in today, so as we approach the runway, we're definitely going to be just turning and going. Not trying to get ran over by an airliner. And again, since I don't exactly have ATC, which sucks. And for anyone who's curious, I stopped using Pilot to ATC for the same reasons that many of you have pointed out. It's just the last few attempts that I've tried to use it, it's been very, very buggy. It hasn't been particularly responsive. It does some very odd behavior lately. It clearly needs an update, and it sucks because I do like it. I do not want to discredit it or talk smack about it. I mean, it is expensive. It is expensive. All right, as we're holding here, we're going to go ahead and go flaps 1. We're going to set our strobe light on and landing lights on as we take the runway. Now, we're only crossing a runway, but still, I want to make sure everyone knows we're here. All right, so we're going to cross very quickly, and then hold short 25 right. Ooh, baby. Let's see if we can see him come in. Oh! Oh, come on. I was nowhere near you, man. I call BS. I call BS. That wasn't my fault. That was their fault. I was there first. Right? Right. Okay. Anyway. Alright, so I don't see anybody coming. Let's peek our head down a little bit. No. Looks like 25 right is clear, so let's get out of here. Alright, so taking the runway of 25 right. Out of beautiful Los Angeles. Alright, let's lock in our runway heading in case we need to fly runway heading. Bugs are set. Let's roll. Takeoff power set. Looking for 90 knots on rotation. .90 knots acquired. Nose up. Come on, beautiful. Up we go. Positive rate. Gear up. 20 knots above V2. Or rotate, excuse me. Flaps up. Come on, darling. Stay with me. Alright, let her stabilize for a second. Let's go autopilot on, yaw dampers on. Oh, good. It did that automatically. And let's see where we're at in regard to the airfield. Wanted to fly runway heading. Let's go ahead and fly runway heading. Come a little bit off course here. Flaps came up, gear came up, good. To our map display here. Bring our flight plan up. Alright, we're past missed approach altitude for LAX. Let's go ahead and resume navigation. And off we go. Oh, look at that shot. How cool is that? What is happening? Oh, what did I just do? Oh, that was when you hit the right button. There's the shot I wanted you guys to see. How's that, man? See, this is what other simulators can't do. And I think that's what keeps holding on to Microsoft Flight Simulators. Just some of the scenery is just so fantastic. You just can't argue with it. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous! Now, I am thinking we're probably going to need some lights. We're clearly going to be at a night flight by the time we reach Vegas. And let's go ahead and activate leg. Yep. Start heading towards the right direction. We are 5,000 feet above the runway. I think we're safe to come around. Yeah, I love that. Very cool. Alright, so our next stop, folks, is we're going to be climbing out to 10,000 feet. At 10,000 feet, we'll kill the exterior lights. And then we'll continue our climb up to 18,000 feet, at which point we'll switch over the altimeter over to standard at 2.930. So I will catch y'all in just a few minutes here. Alright, so we are coming up on 10,000 feet. Now the first thing I'm going to do is we are high enough, clouds are nice and clear for the most part, so we're going to go ahead and disengage the initial separator. Now when we do that, we need to make sure to watch our torque, because we're going to gain a lot of horsepower back. And at 10,000 feet, we can bring off the landing lights. But from here, we'll be continuing our climb to 18,000 feet. At 18,000, we'll switch back to 2.930. But all the way from now up until it stabilizes, I'm going to be watching our torque. You notice the torque is rising. We only want to be at about 80% above max power. So I'm pulling that back just a bit. And again, it's going to continue to rise a little bit, so you want to be sort of monitoring it. Alright, so I'll see you guys at about 18,000 feet. Alright, so we are approaching 18,000 feet, so we're going to give that barometer a tap there, back to 2.930, and set our standby down as well. And from here, we're going to continue our climb up to 29,000 feet. That's our cruise altitude today. Once we get up there, then we'll configure the VNAV information for our top of descent. So, stay tuned for that, guys. I'll see you when we get up to cruise. Alright, so we have reached our cruise altitude of 29,000 feet. So now we're going to take a look at setting up our VNAV descent calculations. Monitoring our power performance for a minute. A little bit of a bumpy ride up here. Man, that looks cool. Alright, so let's get into this. So the first thing that we're going to need is we're going to need our charts again. And in this particular instance, we're going to need the approach plate. Because what we're looking for is our touchdown elevation. So touchdown zone elevation here. And actually, there's two different ways you can do this. You can do this all the way down to touchdown. I typically actually do this down to 10,000 feet. Okay, so I'll show you why in a second. Well, there's no real thing to show you. At 10,000 feet, you're typically on the approach. It's when everything starts to begin, right? Now, in this case, we'll probably use 8,000 here because that's when where our transition's at. So we'll use 8,000 feet as our target. And then from there on, we're just stepping down through the approach. Man, it is bumpy up here. Holy crap. All right, so let's jump into this. So we're going to go to VNAV here. No, we're not. We're going to go to our waypoints here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set... This is where it's going to be difficult because of all the rocking. Jaeger, we're going to set for 8,000 feet. And we're going to hit enter. And then we'll get a whole bunch of other calculations. Now what we have to do next, and for this, because of all the bouncing around, I'm just going to use the Navigraph Charts app and show you guys that. But what we need to do now is verify that none of those altitudes break our restrictions. Man, we are just all over the place. Holy crap, that is a bumpy ride. And we need to go to the book. And we're going to start with the star. We're going to find our star. And now we're sort of going to be just matching things up here. So starting with Myson, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at. So what I'm looking at is these restrictions here. Any of these that we pass through, we need to make sure that, for example, here we need to be between 13 and 19,000 feet. Myson, we need to be above 24,000 feet. Nv above 11,000 feet, etc., right? So I'm going to make sure, and then like, for example, here at Bourbon, we need to be at 210 knots at 8,000 feet, right? So we're monitoring speed restrictions and altitude restrictions. But altitude restrictions is what we're looking at right now. So let's go ahead and come up to our first restriction on the star, which is Myson. So Myson is fine, nothing got calculated there. So now let's come on down and take a look at our next restriction, which is the roundhouse, yeah, that. And here we need to be between 13,000 and 19,000 feet. We're at 16,000 here, that's good. No problems there. And then at let's see here, Rumley, we need to be above 10,000 feet. We're good there. Let's go ahead and find our next one. Let's move down towards, so Jaeger is going to be our next one at 8,000, and it looks like we're golden. Bourbon isn't on it. Jaeger is, actually don't, oh, there it is. So we're going to be coming through here this way. So we hit this wonderful waypoint that I can't pronounce. Then we're going to come this way. Rumley again, we need to make sure we're above 10,000, which we checked, we are. Then going to Bomb, then coming over here, then moving to the right to jump onto Jaeger at 8,000 feet. So we should be good. So next thing we need to do is just hit VNAV, go to VNAV enabled. We have a descent vertical speed target rate of 1,600 feet per minute, and time to top of descent is 13 minutes. So all that is golden. And the other thing that we can do, actually, if you guys are interested, is we can go to home, we can go back to the map page, and you can see there, right before Myson, is our top of descent. Okay, so I will see you guys. We're going to go ahead and leave the VNAV up here. I'll see you guys in, let's call it 12 minutes. All right, we are a minute and a half from our top of descent. We're going to get a little alert right up here. It says top of descent in 1 minute. We had to pull the power back all the way to 68% on the torque in order to keep the aircraft from overspeeding. She was really hauling backside, if you catch my drift. Said it many times, this is my absolutely favorite aircraft to fly. And there's our top of descent within 1 minute warning, letting us know we're ready. So I'm going to start slowing us down to about 170 knots. I'm going to bring up vertical speed mode. And you can see we have our target carrot here. I'm just letting the aircraft slow down a bit. Got 30 seconds to target. To target. Weapons released. All right. And let's go ahead and begin our descent. So what we're going to do is roll our vertical speed down until this blue caret meets the purple caret. Looks like it's looking for about 1,500 feet. What we're looking at right here. At this guy here. And so you just sort of wing it a little bit here. It's not going to be dead on perfect. Oh, I just kicked the rudder. That was my fault. I do that so often. It's so annoying when I do it. But from here, all I'm going to be doing is adjusting our vertical speed to keep the blue caret in line with the purple caret. And I found that until you get your speed established, I'm going to keep pulling that throttle back a bit. You will find yourself sort of adjusting back and forth a little bit in the first couple minutes of doing this, but then after that, it really does smooth out quite a bit. But from here, we'll be descending all the way down to 18,000 feet. Once we get to 18,000, we'll set our barometric pressure, and then continue on down to 8,000 as long as we meet our altitude targets. For any reason that changes, then I will obviously let you guys know, but my goal is the following. 18,000 feet, I'll set our barometric pressure. 10,000 feet, turn our lights back on and make sure we check our speeds. And then at 8,000 feet, we should be on the approach. So I will see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, so we're popping through 18,000 feet. So again, I'm going to hit B on our keyboard. And we have our current altimeter 29085. Now we'll do this again as we come into the approach. But from here, you can see our altitude's looking good. We haven't any concern about breaching any targets restrictions yet, so we're just going to continue on down our descent path, and I'll catch you guys at about 10,000 feet. We're approaching 10,000 feet. We're going to get those lights turned back on. And continuing on down to 8,000. Alright, so we're now just passing through Jaeger. We're at 8,200 feet. Getting a little bouncy over here. And now we are going to start continuing our descent down to 2,300 feet. And we're going to do vertical speed again, only this time we're going to be setting it to about 1,000 feet per minute. At Cessna, we should be at 7,000. We've already set our barometric pressure. Once we got below 10,000, we're at 3,007. At Mandarin, we need to be at 6,000. We're going to go ahead and go flaps 1. And we are a little low, or a little high, excuse me, so I'm going to get us down a bit. You can see we're above the glide slope. Next target is 5,000. Levels back up a bit. And from here, we're going to go gear down. As we get ready to turn on to final. Flaps to full. Activate the approach mode. Ahead and stolen the aircraft back. Autopilot's disabled. Yaw damper is turned off. We're looking at 85 knots on the approach speed. I've got more than enough to capture what I need here. A little high on the approach. Come on, baby doll. Now we're way high.
500.
I don't know why that plane took off with a tailwind like that. Got another one that's taken off in the wrong direction. Whoa, what are you doing, bro? It's gotta be cray-cray. Well, that was a cool shot of him. Alright, let's see if we can grace this one. Throttles to idle. Hold it. Hold it. Beautiful. And welcome to Las Vegas. I liked that landing. That was a good landing. I am very fond of this landing. Alright, let's get to our next exit point here. So we can get off this runway. Let's get those flaps up. Oops. I never turned my inertial separator on. That was a no-no. Shame on me. So just like before, you should always turn the inertial separator on once you start getting down, I say about below 10,000 feet. You know, start getting into that danger zone. But, yeah, that was a no-no. Always want to make sure it's on at landing. Anytime you're landing or taxiing, I don't know why I didn't just, as I'm sitting here talking about it, I should have just turned the damn thing on. And it did not turn on. Hello? Okay, hang on a second. Let me get us off the darn runway here and I'll flip it on for taxi. Well, I mean, I'm probably going to terminate the video here, so don't worry about that part. So we're going to exit the runway, obviously. We want to make sure we actually clear it and get onto the taxiway. It's better to use up a taxiway than to use up a runway. Stop the aircraft, find out why... Oh, it did turn on. But I didn't get a caution light. Oh, I guess it takes a second, huh? Anyway, so it's a late Sunday night. What do you guys want? There's the master caution. Okay, so at this point, obviously, we switch down to our taxi lights. Pulse light comes off, strobe light comes off, flaps are up. And from here, we taxi on down to our... We can even turn the cabin light on if we want. From here, we would taxi to our gate and shut down. But I think I'm going to leave you guys here. I hope you enjoyed this flight. I certainly did. This was definitely a fun one. The weather impact definitely makes it very interesting. So I highly recommend flying around here with the live weather turned on. These mountain ranges and the thermals just make it for some very challenging approaches sometimes. So make sure you guys give it a shot. All right, folks. Well, until next one, I will see you guys very soon.